Hi, this is Shirley Ross, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm going to share with you the first layout from my Cricut Christmas in July camp that I just held a couple weeks ago. The layout has a lot of fun tips and techniques, so I hope that you enjoy. First thing I'm going to do is move the layout over to the side, and we'll talk more about some of the things in it as we go along. So I'm going to start with pulling in the images. Now, one of the things that I made sure was that each of the attendees had the image numbers. If you didn't know, each image in Design Space has a corresponding number. So I am going to enter those, and then I'm going to queue up each one. You'll see it down here. They queue up down here. All right, so that's number 1, and then number 2. Make sure I don't mistype any. Click on that one. And the next one. And the cool thing is you can just queue up as many as you need. Hopefully we won't. We're only going to use 4. All right, make sure I got that. All right, and then the last one is all right, there we go. And now we're going to add them to the canvas. A few minutes for them all to, and while that's happening, if you notice this asterisk, that means that it has not been saved. You've made some changes, but they haven't been saved yet. So anytime before you go to send it to the mats by hitting make it, or before you just close, just make sure that asterisk is gone. If not, hit save to make sure you save your project. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move some things around. So we're going to play with the packages first. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to move the frame over here and the Christmas tree over here. So we want to get rid of the contours because this is actually going to be what holds our title. So let's hide all contours. All right, so now let's change it to white. And because I want the packages, the big packages, to be on the left, because this is going to be on the left side of a scrapbook layout, I'm going to flip it horizontally, and I want it to be 8 inches high. All right? The next thing we're going to play with is the title. Now I'm going to let you know this is going to cut out inside this title. So the part of the A, the part here of the A, the inside of the O, the inside of the R, the S, the A, this part of the S, this part between the S and the T, and these little pieces, they are going to be, and these, anything that you see like that, you're going to want to save when you cut it and take it off the mat so that you can put those in place. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to size it so it fits it. Let's click on again. If you can see, there's a little plus sign here. If you can catch that, that is for moving. It makes it a little bit easier. All right, so then we are going to select those two. I'm just going to draw a box around them. You don't have to do it all the way around, just as long as you've got a box around the 2 pieces, or however many you want to work with, then you can play with them. Now we are going to attach, and I'll explain why. When you attach, these 2 items will cut as one, but they still remain 2 items, 2 different images. So if I needed to resize the title, I can do that from here, because while they will cut as one, they still act as 2 separate. And they'll move as one, they'll size as one if you just click on the whole thing. But sometimes you may just want to play with one part of it. Okay, so we've got the title done. We'll go ahead and move it away. Now we are going to play with the overlay. Now, the overlay that you saw in the layout, let's slide over there. On here it shows you that it's a 12 by 6 inch overlay, and you know that's not going to cut because it only cuts a 11.5 by 11.5 is the max. However, I'm going to show you how to make it a 12 by 12 without having to move the paper down or any of those other little tricks that you can do. So I'm going to come over here and we'll play with it here first, and then I'll show you when we get ready to cut it. So we're going to hit contour. We're going to hide all contours, and then we're going to close that. Now we're going to size it to 2 inch high. Excuse me. And we are going to turn it brown just because that's the color that the tree is and the overlay is. Excuse me. So we're going to duplicate it 3 times, so we'll have 4 trees. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move the trees together. I'm going to move that one down because we want to make them little rows of trees. I'm going to separate them a little bit further, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. All right, now we want them to be distributed evenly amongst each other, so I'm going to select them all. Yep, sorry. It's easy to click on and miss it, and we're going to do align. Now, if you are on an iPad or an Android phone or an iPhone, this is going to be distribute is a tool all by itself. We are going to distribute them horizontally, and that just means they are evenly spaced horizontally. Now, if you want them to be a little bit further apart when you distribute them, then just move them further apart. And you see they have more space between them now. Now we want to make sure that they are aligned, either the top or the bottom, and we're going to align them on the top. So now we have a nice even row of trees, and this time we are going to combine and we're going to weld. Now I know some people will say, why are you using weld? They're not overlapping. You use weld to create one image out of several images. You can do it when they're touching, or you can do it when they're not touching. It's up to you. All right, now we want to make 3 of these rows, so we're going to copy it 3 times. We're going to separate them along here. We're going to move this one down a little bit more, and this down a little bit more. All right, and again, we're going to use the distribute. This time we're going to distribute vertically, and this time we're going to align to the left. So now you have 3 rows nicely separated, and we are going to again combine and weld. Okay, so this is what you want, this right here. Now I am going to bring in a free shape just because I want to make sure they're going to fit on the space that I want them to fit on. We're not going to keep this one. We are going to get rid of it. We're going to make it white for right now so we can see it. We are going to size it. The width is going to be 12. The height is going to be 6. So if you move this down, you'll see that the trees are too big. So let's arrange this and send it to the back. And then we're going to click on our trees, and we want our trees to be 4 inches tall. All right. And we are going to put them approximately 1 inch from the left, 1 inch from the top, and 1 inch from the bottom. I just eyeballed that. If you want to be more specific to make sure that they are arranged in there, then you can use your positioning, your X and your Y. Eyeballing works for me. All right, so now we know that they're the right size. We can get rid of this piece. We don't need that. All right, so let us move over here. All right, the last thing we want to play with is the frame. Now, if you noticed on the original, it is a green background. So I didn't want the green frame. You could have just changed the colors, but I really just liked the white with the red on that. So we are going to hide anything that's green. So I clicked here because it is grouped, and we just hid those, and that way they won't cut when we get ready to use them. All right, and I want it to fit a 3x3 photo. So if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you can. Now there are ways, if you're going to use a wider photo, there's a ways to slice this off and add some more to it if you want. That will be in another class. All right, so now we have all the pieces. What I'm going to do is come over here to the one that's grouped. I want to show you how to cut this from just this tree. So we're going to click on that, and we are going to hide that whole grouped image, and we're going to hit Make. And while we're here, I'll also share with you how many pieces that you'll need. Takes just a moment. All right, so, oh, I forgot to tell you to duplicate this 6 more times, so you'll have 7. You'll need 2 white sheets when you duplicate it. You'll need a small piece of red. As you can see, this will run across the top. But this is the one we want right here. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. Sorry, let me cancel that. We'll do that a second time. So we're going to need 2 of these. So we'll duplicate that. And let's go ahead and click on our frame and duplicate it 6 more times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that gives you 7 frames. Okay, now let's make it. Sorry about that. And again, before you hit Make, you may have wanted to save it. I'm not going to save it because I want to keep what I had originally. So you'll need 2 white pieces so that all the frames will cut. Now I will share with you, I don't know if you've seen this before, but if there was space down here, you could move from one to the other. There isn't any, so we're not going to get to move. You'll see, just have a few red pieces, so you can use a scrap piece. And then you'll have 2 of the trees. Now I'm going to move this one down here. Some paper you have could be double-sided cardstock, or it could be double-sided pattern paper if you decide to use it. So I'm going to show you first how to do it, double-sided paper and then single-sided paper. So we do not want it, it's not going to cut across, it's just going to cut the trees out. So we're going to move the top trees to approximately 1 inch from the left and 1 inch from the top. Then we're going to move this one over here because we're going to cut it at the 6-inch spot when we take it off of here and cut it on our trimmer. Then we are going to move it approximately 1 inch down from the top and 1 inch down from the left side. All right. Move that down a little bit more. There you go. So now when it cuts, it's going to cut one on the left and one on the right. Then you can cut it in half, and that way you don't have to worry if you were to cut it and flip it, this would be light on the back and this would be dark, and you don't want that. So that's why you'll do it this way if you have double-sided paper or cardstock. If it's both the same, then you can just do it 1 inch, exactly the same as before, 1 inch down from the 6 and 1 inch from the left. So then when it cuts, you'll flip one of them so it will be on the right and one will be on the left, as you saw in the layout. That's the only thing that you'd have to do, is just to move this exactly where you want it to cut on the paper so that you can keep the 12" by 6". All right, so let's cancel that. Excuse me. All right, so we'll go back to the layout itself. Oh, as soon as we unhide it. There we go. I must have unhidden something that I didn't mean to unhide. Sometimes I find when you do things with the Cricut, it does strange things, and it looks like when I did the unhide for the whole thing, it unhid all of my frames. So I'm just going to go back. I really don't have to do it, but I want to do it so that you can see what the layout's going to look like. Excuse me. That's just little quirks on Design Space. And almost there. And again, if you decide that you want to play with this, you can just cut it in different colors and not change it to the white. There we go. So now let's go back and look at it. You might also notice when I'm working with the layout, I'm going to move these over. I'm going to move these over. I'll move that one over. All right, so this is what the layout, I put it to 50% when I'm playing with the layout. It just allows me to see the whole double space layout on one sheet. So while you only use these trees here, once it cuts out and you cut the paper in half, this is what it will look like. So you'll have that overlay, and the brown will show through on the title. Again, remember to hold on to all those little pieces that cut out so you can fill in the spaces. So I hope you enjoyed this Design Space Friday. Again, this is Shirley Ross, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I hope to see you again next Friday when we do the next Cricut Christmas in July camp for 2024. Bye.